The St. Louis Cardinals made a roster decision that makes the Dylan Carlson trade look even worse. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Haffern, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Louvre and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter, X at JD Sports Radio, and the podcast at LO_Cardinals. I want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube, so come on by if you haven't done that yet. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. All right, so the Cardinals lost again on Tuesday night by a score of 7-5. They had Dylan Cease on the ropes a couple of times, but per usual this season, they couldn't deliver that killer blow that they needed. We're going to talk more about Tuesday's game later on in this episode, but I wanted to talk about the transaction that was made yesterday first, because it really upset some people, myself included. Not so much the transaction itself, but what it represented. Okay. The Cardinals recalled relief pitcher Riley O'Brien from AAA Memphis and ended up designating relief pitcher Shawn Armstrong for assignment. Now, in the grand scheme of things, if you just look at those two names, not a huge deal, right? But when Shawn Armstrong is the only thing you got in return for your former number one prospect, Dylan Carlson, at the trade deadline, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. I don't like it. Yeah. Now, I can't sit here and tell you that the Cardinals should have gotten more in the deal, because at the time when they made this swap with the Tampa Bay Rays, Dylan Carlson was a fifth outfielder. He's hitting under 200. He has no power, no home runs, couldn't hit righties, and now wasn't hitting lefties, which used to be what he was really good at. So when you look at it that way, when you're like, all right, you traded a fifth outfielder for a reliever, a veteran reliever who in the previous year had a lot of success, it doesn't come off so bad. At the time of the trade, I wasn't even that upset about it. I was like, oh, maybe they found something here with Shawn Armstrong, and he's going to fill that role in the bullpen, because they needed another right-handed relief pitcher to kind of help fill the void that was left with Riley O'Brien going down and Keenan Middleton going down. Two guys that were supposed to be a big part of the bullpen this year, and neither one of them have been around for it. But it's the name, right? It's Dylan Carlson that is what upsets all of us, because for years we were spoon-fed how great he was and how he was a five-tool player that was going to be a big piece of the Cardinals' future. I recall an interview that Mo did where he brought his name up among Albert Pujols. Like, when we talk about prospects, I don't hate to, compare him to Albert, but, and he was, raving about him. Everybody loved the kid. And to see him traded, not just for a reliever, but for a reliever who was then designated for assignment after 11 appearances, it just feels icky. It feels ugh. Like, what? That's it? That's all you're getting out of this? And here's the other side of it too. Shawn Armstrong wasn't that bad. He really wasn't that bad with the Cardinals. He was actually pretty good. 2.84 ERA in those 11 appearances, 12 strikeouts in 12 2/3 innings. The FIP at 2.77, ERA plus 153. Not a guy you normally just toss to the side and throw away. But the Cardinals have a number crunch now, because you're getting people back from injury. Lance Lynn, Steven Matz, Riley O'Brien. And according to Katie Wu, in her article at The Athletic, here's the reasoning behind designating Armstrong for assignment. She says it allows him to still be eligible for the postseason with a new club, as long as he is picked up before MLB's postseason eligibility deadline of September 1st. The Cardinals chose to cut Armstrong now rather than option another reliever to AAA because making him available ahead of that deadline could serve as incentive for a team to sign him and pay the remainder of Armstrong's $2 million salary. So, in a way, it's kind of a salary dump is what we're looking at here. Armstrong is set to become a free agent at the end of the season. We all knew that. So, this kind of tells me, too, that despite his good numbers with the Cardinals, they probably weren't going to make a strong attempt to re-sign him anyways, because this is not how you treat somebody that you hope would be willing to come back and be a part of your team next year. And instead of the Cardinals having to pay him, they're like, well, let's see if somebody else wants to fork it over and pay him. And someone else might. Again, he was not bad with the Cardinals, and it wouldn't surprise me if someone else grabbed him for their playoff push or run. It also says, at least to me, that this is kind of like a little hint of the white flag coming up, like realizing that perhaps this team is not going to go anywhere as far as playoffs here in 2024. And Riley O'Brien is somebody they'd rather see pitching because they want to see what he can do next year. So now in return for Tyler O'Neill and Dylan Carlson, two guys who seem destined to become mainstays in this outfield for years to come, you have only Victor Santos to show for it. That's it. That's all you got. For Tyler O'Neill and Dylan Carlson, you have AAA pitcher Victor Santos to show for it. Because Nick Robertson, who you also got from the Red Sox in the O'Neill deal, was designated for assignment and got claimed by the Angels. He's no longer with the organization. Santos, 24 years old, currently at Memphis, 4-7, ERA of 5.94. After 4 starts in July, they moved him to the bullpen, and he has been decent since going there. 5 appearances, 8 innings, 2.25 ERA, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 runs, 1 dinger. Maybe that's the role he goes to and can make an impact on your roster at some point there, which, okay. We all know we need relief pitchers. Having strong bullpens is huge. But at this moment in time, right here on August 28th, it sure feels like the Cardinals got almost nothing in return for Tyler O'Neill and Dylan Carlson. And that sucks. That sucks. It feels like a failure, doesn't it? Just being honest. In case you're wondering, Tyler O'Neill has dealt with injuries again this year, but when he has been on the field, he's been pretty good. 261, 23 bombs, 47 RBIs, the OPS plus 138. Dylan Carlson, since the trade, hitting just 228 with 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, OPS plus of 111 in 19 games. It sucks. It sucks. All right. Speaking of sucking, how about the attendance in St. Louis? We got some fan feedback to get to. People want to talk about not only this particular move. I got a question about attendance. Also got some feedback on yesterday's discussion about Pete Alonso and Anthony Santander. So we'll get into that next year on Locked On Cardinals. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is what also keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers to roof racks to exhaust kits, LED headlights, and a whole lot more. Whether you're into speed, whether it's power, whether it's style, whether it's all three, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebay.com/motors. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, PrizePicks has it where it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you watch your winnings roll in. Now, if you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every single week, lowering select player stats projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit They give you entry fees back if you got a losing lineup on Fridays. They're here to help you. And now you can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. It's the best way to win real money this football season, that's for sure. Which players are going to go off, which ones are not. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on PrizePicks. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB and get that $50 instantly when you play $5. That's locked on code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast hosted by Sully, who is here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor. I'm sure he's got some jokes about our Cardinals right now. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. A reminder, you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app, search the word Cardinals. I was tweeting with the Cardinal fans yesterday about this move with Shawn Armstrong, and I kept getting a lot of the same responses. There's no direction with this team. They don't know what they're doing. Burn it all down. Play the kids. So I figured for our fan feedback section today that we just start right there. All right, let's just start with all of those comments that are coming in. People upset about the move, and I get it. Trust me, I get it. My first reaction was of anger when I heard about the Shawn Armstrong move that they were going to DFA him, because it's like, why are you trading Carlson then if you're not going to get anything back? But at the same time, I kept going back and forth between this. If interest was so little on Carlson, then don't move him. But then the other side of me says, it was time to move on for everyone involved, which is something that has been reported by people like Katie Wu, that, both sides just wanted to make a clean break and move on with their lives. And I get that side of it too. Now, if the Cardinals had kept winning, would this move have taken place? Probably not. If the Cardinals had kept winning instead of losing, and Armstrong was doing what he was doing, which was being pretty good, probably doesn't get designated at all. But with their playoff hopes slipping away by the day, the team wants to see Riley O'Brien. They want to see what they got there, because they need to start thinking about what's going to happen next year. They need a better idea of what he can do at the major league level for next year, because we've seen him even before he became a member of the Cardinals. When he was in Seattle, we saw that he's good in AAA. He's very good in AAA. That's fine, but it's a different story when you come up to the show. So they needed to see what exactly he could be at the major league level. Got into Tuesday night's game against the Padres. They're gonna be evaluating and judging him and seeing what exactly it is they've got, because they've got some openings coming up. I mean, is there a guarantee that Andrew Kittredge wants to come back and be a part of this team? I don't know. He seems fine, but if he gets other offers, would he rather go somewhere else? I don't know. But he's a free agent at the end of the season, so that's another spot where you're like, all right, well, if he doesn't come back. And we can keep saying things like, oh, well, you bring Kittredge back and they got to want to come back. Maybe he doesn't. You ever thought about that? I also got plenty of people saying that they had to get rid of Carlson. It was best for both sides. And my thing is that I'm just disappointed about it. I'm just disappointed that, another supposed star prospect has failed with this organization. It's infuriating. Like, why can't they figure this stuff out? Like, why do they keep failing? I was brainwashed to believe that Dylan Carlson was the next big thing for this team. And now that it has fizzled out for essentially nothing, it bugs me. It bugs me. And it freaks me out a little bit, because I see what they've done with other supposed big-time prospects in this organization, the yo-yo act with Matthew Liberatore and Zach Thompson the last couple years. Bullpen, starter, AAA, back to the majors, back and forth they go. Libby has now carved himself out a nice little spot in the bullpen, and I said this before, don't touch him. Leave him alone. Let him enjoy success where he is. He seems comfortable. He's doing a good job. Don't mess with it. Don't go, well, what if he could do this over 5 innings? Stop. Leave him alone. Let him be good at this. And if he becomes an elite left-handed relief pitcher, awesome. You need those kind of guys. It's okay. He doesn't have to be a starter if he's going to be that kind of guy in his relief role. He's been great. Let him be there. Zach Thompson, he's back starting again. 3-3, 4.50 ERA with Memphis, but you hardly hear anything about him. When was the last time they brought up Zach Thompson on a telecast? Like, what is his future with this team? Former first-round pick, mind you. Look what they've done with Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman. Doesn't really give me a whole lot of faith in their ability to get them back to where we thought they were going to be. Lars Nootbaar has never ascended to the levels that they made us believe he was going to be. And I know we can't predict injuries. It happens. But still, the Alex Reyes, I know it was injuries. Another one that just never ended up working out. Tragedy with Oscar Taveras. Nothing you can do about that. But it seems like since that point, there just hasn't been a lot of these top prospects that are supposed to be guys that make huge impacts on your team. They just don't live up to the hype when they finally get to the major league level. The outlier right now is Mason Wynn, who has been incredible. Should be up for NL Rookie of the Year votes this year. Isn't going to win, but should at least get some acknowledgement for it. He's been awesome. So when we talk about, hey, go young, go youth, what makes you think they're not going to screw those guys up too? I hate sounding like this, but the track record speaks for itself. It would be different if this was something that happened just once in a while, but it seems to be very common in this organization. It's become a pattern, and it's very disturbing. And we should all be worried about it. Because if the game plan is to develop and grow from within, that way you don't have to spend big money on free agents if you're not going to spend the money there, but you can't figure out how to develop these guys, you're going to be stuck where we are right now forever, if not get worse. So from X, what are your thoughts on the attendance dropping? I'm a diehard fan and I'm still going when I can, but it's so sad to see it on TV. It is sad. I haven't seen anything like this since the mid-90s, before Tony La Russa came on board. The end of the Joe Torre era. Mike Jorgensen was an interim manager at the time. Chris Sabo was on the team. Tom Hinkie, Scott Cooper, Pattonville. What's up? My high school, by the way, in case you're wondering. Now, I will never tell someone what they should or shouldn't do with their money, but the fans are making their point very, very clear that they are just unhappy with this product. They don't like the decisions that are being made and are choosing to spend their time and their money elsewhere. They announced tickets sold, crowd of 27,224 on Tuesday night, was smallest for a Cardinals home game since April 28th of 2005, and that was at Busch Stadium too. And the numbers just continued to dip lower and lower pretty much every game. Reports were there's only about 13,000 people in the building, actually. There's tickets sold, and then there's people who actually come through the turnstiles. 13,000 is what we're hearing. The fans are telling you what they think of of your product, Mr. DeWitt. The ball is in your court. You got to figure out how to turn this around, because they're fed up. They went through it all year last year. They didn't like the moves that were being made this offseason outside of Sonny Gray. I think most people were like, yeah, that's a good one. And then they saw the Gibson and the Lynn signings with that. And they're like, what? No, what? That's it? And immediately we're turned off by it. I mean, we got so much pushback on that one. And I understood like the idea of it, but still it just was like, well, let's take these spare parts and see if we can build something instead of let's go get a freaking Hemi and build an engine. They didn't do that. They went the cheaper direction, the 1 year direction, and it's failed. It hasn't worked. Feedback from yesterday's episode about Pete Alonso and Anthony Santander. Now, believe me, I get it that signing either one of those guys is probably a little far-fetched, specifically Pete Alonso. But it was something different to talk about because I don't want it to all be doom and gloom. So I just thought, I was like, well, let's switch it up, man. Let's do a little something. From YouTube, Cards don't need a free agent at first base. They've got several young guys for that position. If you're going the free agent route, get some number 1 and number 2 pitchers. Yeah, great. Do you think the Cardinals are going to pay any of those guys to get the number 1s and number 2s? You think Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Blake Snell, even Jack Flaherty, you think they're going to fork over the money those guys are going to command it would take to sign them? That's really the question mark. Because a lot of times, because I've mentioned before, what free agents are going to be attracted to coming to the St. Louis Cardinals at this time with the way things are right now. And money is the only way to win that over. If somebody is on the fence of whether or not they want to play in St. Louis, you've got to overpay. Be like, well, we'll give you this. And all right, hard to turn that down. I'll come play. But are these guys, is this front office going to do that? No. What makes you think they'll do that? Guys aren't lining up at the door to work with Ollie and Turner Ward, who I accidentally called Taylor Ward yesterday. I apologize for that. Thanks for pointing that out. Slip of the tongue. I'm sorry. I play too much MLB The Show and Taylor Ward's on the game. I think Taylor Ward instead of Turner Ward all the time. Forgive me. Dusty Blake. You think they're lining up for Ollie, Dusty, and Turner? Hey, JD, Santander's bad would play for any team. His legs are not sexy when it comes to his outfield range, especially at Busch. But if he gets to a ball, he will make the play. He does have a decent throwing arm. Another way to go is put Ciani, Scott II, and Newbar Walker in the outfield and go get 2 number 2 starting pitchers to complement Gray, Fetty, and Palante. Well, defensively, great. Ciani, Scott, Newt, that'd be great. But how's that offense looking, buddy? Have you got those 3 in the lineup? Scott's hitting like 157. Ciani was around like the 260s, but not. We're talking about 8 and 9 hole hitters right now. And then Newbar had some big hits recently, and it's great to see. But what do you really expect out of Lars Newbar these days as far as offensive production? Anything special? I don't. Why would you? I still haven't seen it. So I love Ciani, and I've seen the strides Scott has made, but right now all of them are below average major league hitters, really. And we've seen what a team who can't score does night in and night out this year. You really want to go through that again? Walker, I'm hoping for good things. Yeah, but I don't know. It's time to put some pop into this lineup. And if it's not going to be any of the young guys, you got to go out and pay for it. And then just be kind of like, well, defensively, we're going to have to take a step back so that we can score some runs. Yeah, it's great. You're catching everything in the outfield, but you're putting up 2, maybe 3 runs a night. You're still not going to win. So it makes me lean towards getting more offense over defense right now. That's just me. Keep the feedback coming though. This is like a Cardinal fan therapy session now. We got to get through it all together. We'll talk it out. We'll hug it out at the end of it all. It'll be nice. We all need each other in this day and age. So let's talk about Tuesday night's loss next here on Locked On Cardinals. The heat and humidity during the St. Louis summer is no joke. How gross has it been at the ballpark the last couple of days? And I'm not talking about on the field. I'm just talking about weather-wise. Just nasty. It can affect you in a lot of negative ways. It's important to stay hydrated so you can enjoy the outdoor activities that you want to be a part of, whether it's going to ball games, whether it's camping, Six Flags, whatever it is. And Liquid IV can help you. They can. It's the ultimate weapon against the heat and humidity. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. Liquid IV, it's more than just a drink. All right. It's a science-backed way to hydrate better than you ever have before. And they're delicious. You got amazing flavors. My personal favorites are the tangerine and the white peach, but you've got rainbow sherbet. You've got cotton candy. You've got the popsicle firecracker. Just tear, pour, live more. 1 stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than just water alone, with 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink and 8 essential vitamins and nutrients. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. With the season winding down, there's only so many home games left to catch your Cardinals in action, and Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, and it makes getting tickets faster and easier. And as you've noticed, plenty of good seats are available at Busch Stadium right now. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. But it's not just for baseball. Yeah, you can save up to 60% off buying last minute for all sports. We got the NFL getting fired up. Preseason over. We start regular season NFL football games next week. And I am very excited about it. Although my Packers are in Brazil, so I can't get a ticket. I guess I could get a ticket to that, but I'm not going to Brazil to go watch them play football. But we got college football coming up. Mizzou looking to have a big season, as well as concerts, comedy, theater, and a whole lot more. They've got flash deals. They got zone deals. They got all-in pricing, so there's no surprise fees when you go to checkout. You got panoramic views from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what you're going to be looking at. Take the guesswork out of buying not only MLB tickets, but all tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who's got it all covered every single day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description, so you don't need to go search or anything like that. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Speaking about attendance, has anybody seen this guy? Where's this guy at? Have we seen him? Have we located him? We miss him. We miss him and his energy. And his nipples. All right. The Cardinals lose 7-5 on Tuesday night. Had a 2-0 lead on one of the best pitchers in baseball in Dylan Cease, but Miles Mikolas coughs it right back up. 36-pitch, 4-run, second inning. We've seen it time and time again. Mikolas roulette. You spin it. You never know which inning you're going to get. He always seems to have one bad inning. This time, it was your second inning. Outside of that, he was good. I give Mikolas credit when he deserves it. I will shatter him when he doesn't deserve it. And this is nothing new. This is Miles Mikolas. The game that he pitched against Milwaukee was beautiful. It was beautiful. And you'll see that from time to time from Miles. But most of the time, this is what you get. About 5 innings. One of those innings is going to suck. You got to make sure you can get through that to pick up the win. And the Cardinals couldn't do it. Game really came down to the team's inability to hit with runners in scoring position. It's been a problem all year. And there was once again in bright, shiny neon lights for all to see as they stranded the bases loaded, not once, but twice. They go 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They strand 10 total in the game, while the Padres go 4 for 7 with runners in scoring position. They strand only 4. That's it. That's your ball game. You can point at those 2 stat lines and see exactly why the Cardinals lost. And it's something that they've had a problem with all year. This is not new. It's the same movie over and over and over. And when they come through with runners in scoring position, just a couple of times, they tend to win. But they didn't. Stranded a small village last night on the bases. For the season, the Cardinals now have a .224 team average with runners in scoring position. Last in the National League, ahead of only Tampa Bay and the White Sox in the major leagues. It's awful. It's awful. And it's to the point now, obviously, because we're creeping up on September now that we've seen it enough, where when the guys do have people on in scoring position, everybody's expecting the strikeout, the pop out, the double play, anything but a hit. That's what everybody's expecting. And they point and laugh when it happens. Am happy to see Paul Goldschmidt have a nice day last night. Again, I give Paul Goldschmidt a lot of grief because it's just been that kind of year for him. It's not that I don't like Paul Goldschmidt. I do. I root for him. A great guy. I want to see him do good. 3 hits last night, including the 2-run moonshot that briefly gave the Cardinals a 5-4 lead. People were feeling pretty good about themselves at that point, but couldn't hold on to it. Had that amazing catch by Victor Scott II on Jackson Merrill, which was a thing of beauty. Mason Wynn, 2 more hits. He's batting .284 now. Again, NL Rookie of the Year votes. He's probably going to be right up there among the top 5 for sure. At least he should be. I hope he doesn't get shut out at all. Luken Baker got the start. Promptly strikes out 3 times. He's one of the guys who struck out with the bases loaded. Another time with the tying run on second in the 8th inning. Did have a sac fly, so it wasn't all negative, but kind of a night to forget for the big guy. There's not much more to say about it. Like Riley O'Brien came in. Fine, I guess. Like I just, it's just the same stuff over and over. Just disappointment. It's disappointment almost every night. They lock horns again this evening at Busch Stadium. Andre Palante, who's been a bright spot recently, will go up against Joe Musgrove, who has been injured a lot this year. So, best of luck. First pitch is at 6:45. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give me a follow on Twitter, X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like, subscribe on YouTube, help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. Get that feedback in, please. More fan feedback. The more, the merrier. More discussion between each other. I wish I had phone lines and stuff that I could open up and you could call in and we could talk about it live and stuff, but not the capability here. But when you write on YouTube and you write on Twitter, X, those are things that I can take, bring it into the show, and we can chit chat that way as well. So I appreciate all the support. I know it's tough right now, and I thank all of you who are sticking with me and hanging with us as we go through another disappointing end to a Cardinals season. It ain't gonna get any easier. Got the Padres for 2 more, and then we go to New York to face the Yankees. September lightens up a little bit, so maybe we'll get more wins and stuff, and maybe we'll see some of that youth come up in September, and we can talk about them. But I know it's rough right now, but we'll just keep chugging along. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.